What is up, guys? Welcome back to an episode here on the Keep It Hoop YouTube channel. So yesterday we uploaded a video of Kevin Durant, and the overall premise of that was just to take another look at how good he was when he was in Golden State. Um, we looked at how Steve Nash and Brooklyn might use him, along with Kyrie and LeVert, Dinwiddie, DeAndre, Joe Harris, some of the sets they might run, and how his versatility is able to just mesh with anything, right? Um, in running with the theme of just players who are injured, Isaiah Thomas was another guy I wanted to take a look at. What he did in Boston was amazing. There are talks that he's healthy now, and that he's at least personally feeling like he can do what he did before. He's a free agent right now, so hopefully he finds a team. Um, but this video was mostly just to highlight again just how good IT was when he was in his prime and healthy. What that Boston team was like able to accomplish, I think was pretty astounding. They had solid players, but I think the biggest pieces really were Isaiah and Al Horford, who was two-man game was actually super good. They were on the same page, and I think Brad Stevens just did a really nice job of maximizing Isaiah's capabilities to give them the best chance to win. Um, but if you're a short player, and I mean short in terms of just like where you play, because you could be 6 foot, but if you're playing in a church league, 6 foot's pretty big. But if you're 6 foot, playing in the NBA or D1, that could be considered shorter, right? Um, but I'm 5'7" myself. When I was still trying out for the professional basketball league in Japan, IT was someone who I watched all the time just because he was so good at, and you're going to see this throughout the video, but using his body and, playing north to south, change of pace, scoring at all three levels. These are all things we're going to talk about. But this is a playoff game against Washington, who Boston had a pretty big rivalry with at the time. I think Washington had the funeral thing where they were wearing all black and the blackout theme, but playoff game again at home against your rivals. I think another thing that IT had was the intangibles. He was super confident, played his heart out, which you need to do if you're short, and he was clutch. He got up for the big games. So yeah, that being said, before we start, if you guys could hit the like, subscribe buttons and comment, share, be greatly appreciated. And I mean, if you're curious or are interested in other videos, check out our channel. We have a few college breakdowns. Evan Mobley, Jalen Suggs, and Cade Cunningham. We did the aforementioned KD one, and we'll have more coming up for both NCAA and NBA. So yeah, stay tuned. Hit the notification bell button as well, and also follow our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for just updates and notifications as well. But yeah, so let's get started. Um, Shooting is obviously a big key in today's game, but especially if you're a guard, a smaller guard, you need to be able to shoot. It buys you some space on drives and stuff, and just opens the floor up if you're able to shoot, right? And we're going to see the impact of him being able to shoot later on down the road. But really, just two threes coming off the dribble, off of the screen. Um, you're going to see here. So Isaiah's obviously quicker than Marcin Gortat. And Gortat at this point in the game, still early in the game, is fine with giving up the three, right? He just doesn't want to get blown past. So to start the game, he's actually giving Isaiah a little bit of a space, right? And Isaiah is able to read the defense, you know, and just rises up and makes three. So two threes to start the game. Um, and once you make again jump shots early, it opens things up. This is actually an example of what I was talking about with Brad Stevens really maximizing his team, right? So you pretty much have a five out right here. Jay Crowder can shoot, Avery Bradley can shoot, Amir Johnson's a decent shooter, and so is Al Horford. Um, and because Isaiah, who's again really good at playing north south, just no unnecessary movements. He's lowered his right shoulder right here, so he has the leverage on John Wall. Because once this inside foot comes around, he's just gonna have better positioning, and he's lower. Gortat sees this and he wants to help, but again, he has to stay somewhat connected to Al Horford too. Um, so this really is able to give Isaiah Thomas, right, all this space here and here by having really a five out offense. And something he's really good at, which he does there, is two things he does a lot actually, right? He does this half spin move a lot. It freezes the defense just enough, and when you're that elite of an athlete and that good of a player, that split second where the defense doesn't know what you're doing is all you need to get to your spot or create yourself a basket, right? So a little hezzy. Gortat doesn't know if he should, drop back down or play up, so he's kind of stuck now. And the thing you're gonna see after this, which I'm gonna point out over and over, Isaiah Thomas, despite being 5'9", initiates contact a lot of the times. And all too often in lower levels of basketball or younger players, they try to avoid the contact. But if you're strong enough, and Isaiah is like 185, 190 at 5'9", which is a large man, right? It's a lot for someone that height. He initiates the contact by lowering his shoulder, and what that does to the defender is the defender is now no longer able to jump his highest, and he throws him off his ideal or normal course of action when trying to block a shot. So you're going to see here Isaiah, I mean, his head is in Gortat's chest, right? But because he does that before Gortat can even jump, Gortat can't even jump as high as he wants to or he can now. And that's just look if no, even if someone's smaller than you, if they jump into your chest, you're just not going to be able to jump as high as you can, right? Uses his body. And then another thing he does really well here, right? So like Gortat, you see here, like barely gets off the ground. Isaiah uses the rim as protection, and then here he has the ball on the outside, you know, on the outside, so it's even harder for Gortat to block the shot. Because if Gortat wants to full on go ahead and try to block that shot, chances are he's going to foul IT. And that's another thing we're going to see was IT is just super good at getting to the free throw line. So just like that, 8 points in 4 minutes for him, right? Um, I like this action a lot actually, and it's so simple, which is why I wish guys like James Harden's someone I wish that would do this more. Isaiah's actually pretty willing to start the possession without the ball and run a decent amount of actions without the ball. I think because he understands that it does make the game easier for him, right? He's already 5'9", he's already at a disadvantage. So he, along with the Celtics, how can we make it easier? Well, one, you have a down screen here, which he comes off of, and then another screen, pretty much, by Olynyk when he executes the dribble handoff, right? So what does that mean? What does that do? Well, when he gets the ball, right? John Wall tried his damn hardest to get over the screens, but he's in an awful position here to guard Isaiah Thomas. awful position there, right? And again, there's not much he can do here. Now, ideally, you have Markieff Morris hedging a bit here, but he can't because Kelly Olynyk is a shooter and he's smart enough to, instead of cutting, he's popping out. So Morris needs to go, right? And then Gortat can't just leave Horford alone, so he's occupied. And then again, you have Morris or Marcus Smart, who's not a great shooter at the time, but he's willing to shoot him, so you still have to pay somewhat of an attention to him. But that's why Kelly Oubre can help in a little bit. But Avery Bradley's a very capable shooter, so Bradley Beal has to stay there. So that leaves, again, all this space wide open for Isaiah Thomas. And now he's able to go. We see him doing this a little bit later on, actually, too. But he does what James Harden does. He brings the ball out. I don't know if you could see there. He ball out to initiate the contact, right? So Beal and Markieff Morris both swipe at the ball, and he's able to finish. Now the thing with that is, you're gonna see here again, he's initiating the contact. Now the thing is that this takes so much strength on top of just the experience and IQ to do this, but you have to be super strong with with the ball, because if you let it go, sometimes they might not call a foul and you just turn the ball over. And then two, if you don't hold on to the ball, you're giving yourself no chance to pick up an and one, right? But yeah, it goes, initiates the contact super hard, and the shot itself isn't that difficult, right? Ends up getting an and one though. So he has now what, 11 points? Attacks the basket, attacks the rim. Jason Smith's a 7-footer, but what he does a nice job, a little bit of a euro, and something that both IT and Kyrie both did really well. They they take a little bit of a elongated or a slow step, right? And if you're going right at a defender and you do that, bigs are gonna time your shot or your layup or your floater as if you're going at a constant speed, because that's what they're used to doing, right? But if you're able to take an elongated or slower step, the defender usually just jumps past because they're just not expecting it. So here he goes by, and because of that, one a euro, but it's also a little bit slower and elongated. By the time Isaiah goes up, Jason Smith is coming down slash not contesting. So a really easy way for him to get the basket there. So a really nice move. A little bit of a deception. Gets fouled there again. Again, just continuously attacking the rim, getting to the free throw line, and in games like this, when Isaiah's hitting the jump shot, hitting the threes, and he's continuing to do this, that's when you can get the 40, 50-point games. But as long as you have this at least in your repertoire with the shot, even if the shot's not falling, you're gonna give yourself a chance to score and impact the game offensively. Because if you can get to the line, get into the paint, good things are gonna happen. Again, he's not trying to avoid the contact, right? We see that half spin again, using Jay Crowder to be the decoy this time. Little half spin hezzy. Um, uses the shoulder there, right? If you look right here, again, shoulder and back right into Bradley Beal. So Bradley Beal can't jump as high as he wants to. Using the rim as protection there too. And then again, just by doing that, like, Bradley Beal's strong, he's bigger, he's athletic. But just by initiating the contact and using his body and then keeping the ball in the outside hand, like, look at how much space he creates between, Bradley Beal's two hands trying to block it and where the ball is, keeping the ball outside. Just by just turning the corner and then initiating the contact, jumping into the defender, but staying in control. So not just like jumping into the defender, trying to draw a foul and pull up a crazy shot, but really staying balanced and strong. Um, Nice finish there. This is something you're gonna have to be able to do if you're a smaller guard. Always pushing the ball. Nice little pass to his big, easy baskets. Again, Isaiah willing to play off the ball. Nice little action. Getting really, if you look at defense of this game, and if you go back and look at Isaiah Thomas's other games, there's just so much attention on Isaiah, right? Marcus Smart, A.B. Bradley, Jay Crowder, Al Horford, these are all solid players, but Isaiah just has so much attention on him. But with the help of his teammates and just his spectacular play, I mean, they were able to do some outstanding things that season. End of shot clock. So this is what I was talking about. Because Isaiah's made a couple of threes to start the game, this time Gortat says, all right, no more. I'm stepping up. So Isaiah reads this and says, okay, well, if me and Gortat had the same, starting spot, there's no way he can keep up with me. So Isaiah reads this and then just decides to go put his head down and drive, which means Gortat has to now sprint back, right? And at that point, if Gortat's sprinting back, Isaiah can either just keep going to the rim, go for a layup, which is a little bit more difficult this time because Porter and John Wall are cheating in a bit. So Isaiah reads that. Let's get rid of that. Stops on a dime, mid-range shot. So if you watch the KD video, I'm sure you're gonna recognize what we're talking about. And if you haven't, go check that out. But essentially, we talked about one of the things that kept coming up was the importance of the mid-range shot, and everyone wants to talk about how it's a dead art, it's a lost art. We don't see it anymore. But think about the best scorers in the game today: Paul George, Kawhi, Dame, Steph, KD, Clay, even the bigs: Jokic, Embiid, LeBron, AD, Jimmy Butler. They all shoot the mid-range, and they do it well. It's not dead. We see it less for sure overall, but it's not dead because the best players in the world are using it and are succeeding with it. There's another example here. So Isaiah's already hit a couple of threes, uses that to drive, and now is incorporating the mid range. In the first half, he's already scored at all three levels, and then four if you include the free throw line, right? And that's what you're going to have to be able to do. Before we go on, but I mean, a lot of it does come from being able to shoot, which is why, look, you don't need to be able to shoot from the logo, but just being able to shoot from the three, maybe even a couple feet beyond it, opens up so much for you, especially if you're shorter, because you're already at a disadvantage. But being able to open up different aspects of the game, making certain things a little bit easier, can have a trickle down effect and just help your game overall. It's a close game, still, again, a lot of off ball action, gets to the free throw line. Even broken plays, he's not afraid of the contact. He does that half spin hezzy again, where right there. But he's always getting to the rim. Just puts so much pressure on the defense. Nice split. Really nice move here because, as you're going to see here, again, Isaiah is, before Otto Porter even gets off the ground, Isaiah is lowering his shoulder and jumping right into Otto Porter's chest. And Isaiah knows he's never going to get called for an offensive foul unless he blatantly elbows him, right? So he initiates the contact, puts Otto Porter a little bit off balance, hangs in the air, and then again, ball on the outside where even Otto Porter's freakish wingspan can't get to it. Catch and shoot three, which again, we don't see some of the stars in today's game doing, but we talked about KD and stuff as kind of like the guys that are really good at it. Paul George too, but it just makes your game so much easier, right? Keeps teammates involved, and if you're able to play without the ball and shoot, catch and shoot threes and just do it off the ball, I don't know why more people don't do it. It makes the game easier for you. And the next one is even more impressive because it's coming off a screen. And again, guys like Harden can do this. I just feel like they don't, right? And look, maybe it's a stylistic thing and he's more comfortable or likes going ISO, but having this in your game and you see, I mean, Al Horford's a great screener, but having this in your game just makes it so much easier for you, especially if you're again short and you have to take so much physical contact throughout a game. Getting a basket like this here and there, as long even if it's just once or twice a game, getting a wide open look off of screens and catch and shoot can help. Could be the difference between you having enough energy to close out a game or making the clutch basket down the stretch. Again, you talk about the intangibles, the heart, the confidence, and the togetherness this team plays with. That's a big part of Isaiah too. He knows he's having one of those games now, right? Again, brings the ball out, they swipe. If I'm Washington's coach, I'm a little mad. Tell my guys to foul harder, but he brings the ball out, right? He's looking for the contact, right? And it's hard because look, it's if you play against a good player who's good at drawing contact, like it's a skill, right? Part of it, some people want to say it's flopping, but he doesn't flop here. And James Harden does this really well too. He happens to add some selling of the foul as well. But this is a foul. There's no flopping here. But like with the balls out there, human nature a lot of times is to just slap at the ball. And it can be difficult to stop yourself from doing that. Draws the foul. Nice little finish. And that talking, that fire Isaiah played with, man, that's something I do miss, from him being in the league. Again, he has a little bit of that veer finish where drives into Porter and then he has the slow step, kind of like again with the Kyrie moves, lets the defender go past him. Ends up being a little bit of a fadeaway slash floater, but it's a tough shot against Otto Porter. Otto Porter plays good defense there, but tough shot. Good defense, better offense. Again, coming off the screen. John Wall can't believe it. He's pissed. He wants help. It's difficult guarding a guy like this, right? Ends up getting an assist here, but once he gets that mismatch, it's difficult for Washington because look, if you look at the defense, right? Porter has his peripherals on him. Keith is watching. John Wall's watching. Porter or Beal's watching. And obviously Cortades, right? So there's five eyes on Isaiah. Everybody's watching him. That's what I'm talking about. The attention he really took on every night was incredible. But they get a mismatch here. Isaiah gets him out one right. He comes out to the 3-point line, but that hezzy brings Gortat out because again, Isaiah's made multiple threes. And at this point, Isaiah's already driving, and Gortat's, you can see from his knees and legs, is still coming out this way, right? And that's a difficult cover for Gortat. But Isaiah's able to get into the paint. He could have gone out for the floater right here. He's already made a couple. We see Otto Porter right here is helping off. Isaiah makes a nice read and gets it to Terry Rozier for the open three. All right, so if you're able to get into the rim, get into the paint, it's not just about scoring for yourself, but you're just able to put so much pressure on the defense that it does make it easier for you to make it easier on your teammates. This is just I mean, just speechless, right? Because it's just he knows that he's feeling it. Markieff Morris can't do too much. He's almost a foot taller than Isaiah, right? This is a tough guard. And again, you kind of spread this floor out. You have Jay Crowder, so right, he has to stay out, has to stay out, he has to stay here, and he has to stay out. So there's really just Markieff on an island, right? And man, this is what you live for. Get the ISO, snatch, rise. Markieff doesn't even Markieff doesn't even contest. And the most important part of the crossover right here, right? Because what makes this crossover so good is his feet going left. Shoulder left, eye left, and of course, ball left. It's not just a good crossover isn't just left to right, but he's selling it with his whole body. So he sees that, and you can kind of see his right foot is up, which means right, and his or his left foot is up, which means his right shoulder is backing up. So Markieff is now opening up this way, anticipating the drive, which is what he has to do, right? Because Isaiah is good enough where if Markieff tries to play him straight up or anticipates the crossover and then drops this foot and opens up this side, then Isaiah just goes in for the layup. And either it's a wide open layup or gets fouled. And that's just a super bad look on defense. So Markieff is doing the right thing. This is just a really nice move because once he sees Markieff open up to the wrong side, Isaiah just rises. And you can see, look, it's a little blurry, but look at that. That's the face of defeat. You know, he can't even. If you get crossed up and you can't even contest on a shot, man, you just gotta pray he misses it because it's a bad look. And again, it's a difficult position for Markieff to be in, but that's defeat right there. And you know the best part again with Isaiah, he's gonna let you know. You're looking at him. He looked back at him, double, triple take, and then the stare. Those are the moments you live for, man. Really is. Another mismatch, draws the foul. So much pressure on the defense, man. Just continuously gets to the rim, gets to the free throw line. And on top of that, hitting tough shots, hitting threes. Super nice pass right here. This is also a really nice move that I want people to, you know, and this isn't even just a short guard thing, but if you're a guard or you're a pick and roll player, a really, really important and useful skill to have is to be able to snake the screen, right? And what I mean by that, so John Wall is actually able to get back or get around the screen pretty well, and I don't think Isaiah and Al Horford executed the cleanest pick and roll here. But if I rewind a little bit, Isaiah uses this push dribble, right? Because Al Horford was here, right? Isaiah comes around and snakes around. So if you let this roll a little bit more, what that does, if you're able to snake around the screen, so you go here, you have this situation now where John Wall is completely behind Isaiah Thomas, and you eliminate him from the play temporarily, right? And now, so what does that do? Well, we always talk about creating mismatches and advantages on offense. Well, by eliminating John Wall, you are then able to finally get and you know this defender comes in a little bit here, but essentially you have again the two Boston players versus Markieff Morris, and you create a two on one. And this is just now up to reading the defense. If Markieff Morris drops down, then ball handler shoots. And by shoot, I mean it could be floater, it could be a layup, it could be a jump shot, right? If Markieff Morris steps up, then you just pass the screener. So you want to be able to snake the screen and really create a situation where you're able to create a two on one. And sometimes Chris Paul's really good at this, but sometimes, right, if there's nothing here and the roll man goes, sometimes Chris Paul will even drag it back out. here where he can hit a jump shot, or they even do a thing where he'll snake it or all the way around here. Screener will come back, set another screen, and then Paul will go this way. But just being able to screen and or snake the screen and not just going 100 miles per hour straight off the screen and not going sideways is a really useful skill to have, right? And Isaiah actually does a nice job here because Markeith backs up a little bit, but Horford's not in a position where he can do anything with the ball if you pass him because he's pretty much right near. So Isaiah does a nice job, makes the right read, goes up for a nice floater. And a floater, if you're a guard, especially if you're a small guard, but guards in general need to have that shot as well.
One moment.
Another strong drive. And then this is just how he's having one of those nights. I'm sure we've seen the highlights, but and one loses the ball, double clutch. Yeah, Markieff was just going through it, man. This whole series, but especially this game, he had a tough time. He tried, he battled, but it's rough when you keep getting switched on to someone a foot shorter than you. An MVP candidate that year too, at that. So it's rough. It really is. And then this is just to close it out. But yeah, I mean, I think I want to talk about before we finish this episode the few things that we went over, right? So like, what makes IT so good? In helping with not just guards specifically, but more in general, but especially shorter guards, right? So one, the ability to shoot it because it just you know opens everything up, right? Opens up the drive, opens up passing lanes, everything, right? So off of that, and then you need to be able to drive. Um, some of the things we went over, veer finishes, being able to initiate contact, um, just being strong, man. Just being strong, not being afraid of the contact, initiating it. Um, and then so you have the two levels. Third level would be mid range, working on that, being able to shoot that. Passing is obviously doesn't need to be said, but an important skill. Pick and roll, right? And we talked about that snake move, creating the two on one advantage for your team. And I do think a big part of it was just off ball, playing off ball, being able to catch and shoot threes, and doing a lot of the stuff before you get the ball to make it easy on you, right? If you're going through an off screen and a dribble handoff and having the defender behind you, that makes it a lot easier than having John Wall guarding you from the beginning for 16 seconds of the shot clock, right? Um, and then you have some of the intangibles, right? And I think these are actually really key if you're a small guard. Just being able to play with confidence, playing with heart, being clutch. I mean, it's big, man, because like being short, you're already at a disadvantage, right? People doubt you, so you have to believe in yourself. You have to play with heart. You can't be scared of the moment, and just playing with that confidence and playing aggressively. It's a must if you're short. It's a must, and it definitely is a good feeling. I'm sure some of you have been there, but personally, when I'm the smallest guy on the court, which is almost every game, but you have a great game and you're the best player on the court, it's it's funny to see the looks on some guys' faces, right? When you're the smallest guy, when you're 5'7" and you're giving it to them, you drop 20 against you know 6'5" guys. It's a good feeling, but again, it's a lot of work. It's not going to be fun all the time. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of You're gonna take a lot of falls, a lot of bruises, a lot of bumps. But I mean, if you're short, you really just have to be able to do everything on offense, right? And obviously you're not gonna be putting the post and all that, but just being able to shoot, drive, have the mid range, having floaters, right? Different finishes, passing, and really able to just make the right read off of pick and rolls. And these are all important, but again, doing the little things like moving without the ball and, obviously strength and conditioning. Those little things are going to be, super important in trickling down and making everything else more efficient, tight, compact, and what it needs to be. Yeah, but I would recommend just watching a lot of Isaiah Thomas videos in general if you're a guard, but especially small guards. What he's able to do, he gets the most out of his size and skill and his teammates. And I think a lot of credit also to his teammates, especially Al Horford, and also Brad Stevens. But hopefully we see him back in the league soon because if he is healthy, then I think he's still one of the funner players to watch. I love the confidence and the smack talk. Um, but yeah, definitely stay tuned for more videos. Again, we have Kevin Durant for the other NBA video, and we'll do more of that as the season starts. And then we have college videos, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Jalen Suggs, and we have more of that coming up. And follow our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, WordPress, all that. Yeah, be sure to hit the notification bell, thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.